Let's talk about my favorite little people again, toddlers. Today I want to talk about anxious toddlers because that's actually how I started out on this whole thing, is writing a book about how to parent your anxious toddler. Well, I got an email about a mother who is parenting an anxious toddler, and she wanted some tips. And so I thought, I haven't made a video about this, so let's talk about it. You got to excuse my voice because I am fighting something, but we'll get through this. So having an anxious toddler is even harder than having a typical toddler because toddlers in general are rough, like we talked about in last week's video, but anxious toddlers are 10 times worse because they have issues with eating even more than a typical toddler. They have a hard time with potty training because they're afraid, and they melt down all the time because they're so emotional, they don't know how to control their feelings. So how do you parent that? Now, as a mom to an anxious toddler, actually to 3, although luckily they're not toddlers anymore, I have some tips. And so let's talk about those are. Brace yourself because these are not going to be mind-blowing tips, but they are so important. So in my book, I go into detail about every scenario and how you should actually tackle this, but there's no way I'm going to be able to do that in a 5-minute video. And so I just want to give you like the big broad strokes of some things that are super important for you to remember. So the first one is toddlers really have a hard time expressing their feelings. Now I know what you're probably saying because I hear this all the time in my practice. Not my toddler. Oh, Natasha, she is so good at expressing herself. I mean, she has a great vocabulary for 2. She can tell me anything that she wants. She talks in full sentences. I know, trust me, I know. I work with those little people. But even if they have like an amazing vocabulary, it doesn't mean they have a really good emotional vocabulary. So that sounds very therapy thing to say. I get it. But honestly, I'll talk to kids, even older kids, and I'll say like, what makes you sad? What makes you mad? What makes you scared? And they really don't know how to connect their experiences with those words. And so with your sensitive, anxious kid, that is 10 times more important because the sooner they can tell you, I'm scared to go in the bath, instead of, I don't want the bath, I don't want to go in the bath, and you're like running around, catching their little naked butt. That's not fun. If they could sit there and be like, I don't want to go in the bath is scary. Wouldn't that be so much better? Who wants to run around and try to catch your little naked person? It's not fun. So if you can teach them how to express their feelings, especially for your anxious kids, then they're going to be able to express it and not melt down, and your life is going to get a lot quieter. And wouldn't that be nice? So you can do this by labeling their feelings. So let's take the bath as an example throughout this. So if your child is running around and is scared to take a bath and they're screaming, then you can talk for them. You know, you're scared to take a bath. The bath water sounds scary. Doing that in various situations, I know seems so simplistic, and you're like, okay, Natasha, whatever. Honestly, that goes a long way. Give your kids an emotional vocabulary. The second thing is teach them early on to fight their fears. And so that doesn't mean like you have to like throw them into things and be like, do it, it's not scary, go ahead, go. Like that's obviously totally not helpful, and you actually should not do that. But if your kid's afraid of a mask, you know, go to the person who's wearing a mask and take it off. Well, you know, ask them first, that'd be kind of weird. And be like, look, it's just Uncle John underneath that. Or look, it's just a guy underneath that. And then hand them the mask and let them explore it. Play what I call detective. If they're afraid of shadows, turn the lights on and be like, look what that was. That was your doll. Isn't that funny? What a weird shadow it made. Then turn the light back off and like make hand puppet shadows. You know, recently I've been doing this with my 5-year-old. You know, so I'm like, shadows aren't that scary. Look, I can make a bird. Well, actually, it wasn't really a good bird. It was like, I can make a bunny. Maybe you should learn how to do puppet shadows before you try. But anyway, play detective. So that will be really helpful because you're teaching them to problem solve their problems. You know, don't just be scared and avoid. Let me try to figure out what that noise was or what that thing is that I'm scared of. And when you teach a toddler that, they take that all the way throughout their childhood. And that is an amazing skill for them to have. Last thing I would add is find that middle ground. Some parents are way over accommodating and they enable their child's anxiety. And I talk about this throughout any age. You know, if your child is scared of something, then you're like, okay, you don't have to do that. Or if, you know that they're gonna be scared of something, you're like, don't go over there, that's too scary. or come and stay with me, or come and sleep with me. Over accommodating really exasperates anxiety. But then I have other parents that do the complete opposite, and they're like, what are you scared about? You know, get over there, be a man, be brave, you know. And they push their kids. There's nothing scary about that. Get over there now, or I'm going to hit you. Well, I'm kind of making this a little bit more extreme. You know, hopefully no one's going to hit them or call them a little man. But whatever. I'm talking about just the polarities of parenting. You know, way over here and way over here. Find the middle ground. And so you want to encourage your kids, you know, go to the bathroom by yourself. I'm scared, I don't want to. Okay, well, I'll walk over there, but you go in the bathroom yourself and turn the light on. So do a little bit, you know, out of their comfort zone. So you're not throwing them in the deep water and saying, swim. I know I didn't give you swim lessons, but swim. But you're getting in the water with them and you're like, it's not that bad. Try it. So find that middle ground. I hope that makes sense to you. If you really want more detailed information about this, you can go to my website. I have tons of articles on this topic. Or, you know, how to parent your anxious toddler. I wrote an entire book about this, and I could talk about it forever, but I'm trying to keep these videos short. So I hope that briefly helps you. And I will see you next week. I hope you're having a great week. Take care.